most important things that you could ever do. And they know. Some days I'm more wolf than woman, and I'm still learning how to stop apologizing for my wild. Welcome, wanderer of thought, to the garden of the mind, where dreams take root and seeds of awakening are sown. Here, we talk about everything from spiritual awakening, energy, astral travel, all the way to the collective energy, parenting starseeds, psychic gifts, addiction, and the human experience. What it means to truly ascend, from the magic to the mess, and how we are all navigating and alchemizing our way through it. A place where we have the space to remember who we truly are. I'm your host, Mandy Hayes. Welcome to Brain Flowers. Let's get to it.
Strawberry in my throat. Okay. Now I'm ready.
Welcome to another episode of Brain Flowers. Here we are talking with the beautiful Hunter. And so, as with the rest of this little series that I'm doing, we are going into the spiritual awakening journey of many different people. And today we are honoring Hunter. And thank you for sharing space with us.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
So, you do so many beautiful things. You do so many beautiful things, beautiful healing modalities. You are like you're an earth goddess.
I'm an earth goddess.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, I'm Hunter. I own a healing center called Hive Holistic Center. And yeah, I practice a lot of different healing modalities. I've been, a practitioner for 16 years this year. And I'm certified in like a million things, but no longer really use any of my, I no longer stay within the boundaries or within the protocols of all these things I've been certified in, like Reiki and Theta and whatever. Because at this point I've been doing it so long, and I've been developing my intuitive abilities, but also just developing that trust of myself to know what to do next. And as I've developed that trust of like, I always know what to do next, I've gotten further and further away from doing like Reiki sessions, Theta healing sessions. And the healings have been way more powerful than ever because I'm allowing myself to just do intuitively what feels right.
Yeah, you're embodying it.
Yeah.
And it's yours.
Yeah. And it's fun. It's more fun because it's like creative. It's never the same, and humans are never the same.
Right.
And so the healings shouldn't look the same, I think, too. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So, can you tell us what it was like for you growing up?
Yeah, growing up, I was firstly deeply connected to nature. I grew up with a lot of space to be outside, and I think probably that's like my first real touching of something spiritual was like how I felt when I was in the trees, how I felt when I was in the forest, how I felt the water. I was very aware of how all the nature and I were interacting, and how it could change how I felt. Mm-hmm. Like I could feel however, but when I went into the forest, I was okay, or like, and so I'd say that was like one of my first like connections to my own spirituality, or like the spirit of nature or whatever. And I also had we also had a lot of animals growing up. And so I also had like a lot of experience with animals, with nonverbal like communication, and like feeling that like the animals could feel me, and I could feel them. And even if I didn't say anything, that they would respond to me. And so, yeah, like those were kind of like my very beginning touches on that there is something more than than meets the eye, you know?
Yes.
And then also, like, I just always had, like, I don't know, like, I would tell my parents, like, there were, like, certain people in our lives that I would be like, I don't like them. And I was, like, a very, just like I am now, I was, like, a very social, can be friends with anybody, very open, very accepting. And I was like that even as a child, but there were a few people that I was like, I don't like them. And it turned out like those were the only people who like stole from my family, who like, it's like I knew.
Right.
And I remember my parents being like, we're going to listen to her when she has a feeling about somebody, you know? And I also had some like religious experiences growing up and like we went to church. We weren't like a super religious family. Like it wasn't like praying every night together and like, all the things, but we went to church pretty regularly. And I think like probably I was 10 or 11 and I was going to youth group and they're telling us all these stories from the Bible and stuff. And there was some fear-based stuff, as there can be. And I remember being like really young and being the one asking my youth leader very difficult questions, like, wait, but if God is like pure love and like pure forgiveness, then why would we ever end up in hell? And why would we ever be tortured for all of time if God is what you say he is? And and like very young I was starting to question like what is all this stuff and challenging like I was challenging people who were trying to teach me a certain way because I just knew, from a really young age, like I knew there was more than that and that the universe was more kind than that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like the air quotes, the awakening aspect that's going on right now, right? Is that like we are questioning. We're looking at like we're waking up and looking at the structure as a whole and being like, well, wait,
yeah,
this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But you started that from a very young age.
Yeah, I still question everything. I still question everything, and including myself, because yeah, it's like the more you develop your intuition and your intuitive stuff, the more you have to like filter through, the more you have to filter through like, is it my thought or is that something I'm picking up or was that a message for me or was that a message for somebody else? And yeah, but especially like the systems, especially all the systems in our world, in our society right now, I'm constantly questioning like what is the real benefit, what is it, where are they really coming from, where
Right.
And yeah,
absolutely. So what was it like for you in school?
In school, I mean, I was always really like, it was easy for me to make friends. It was easy for me to read people. It was easy for me to connect with people where they were at,
Yeah.
Which I think eventually led me to kind of like an identity crisis, you know what I mean? Where I had to figure out like just how I actually am when I'm not shifting, like being like a little shapeshifter to, make people comfortable.
Yeah.
But I also like, I always was very close with all my teachers, like I was friends with my adult women teachers. Like we were friends. And I would spend time like, instead of going to recess, I would like stay inside and like hang out with my teachers. And have like real conversation and stuff. Like I like craved that when I was young. Like I was always very, like I was always like a little old soul, I could always sit and have like real conversation with the adults. And like a lot of times I would prefer that over being with the kids because they were just like eating their boogers and like whatever.
Surface level stuff.
Yeah, just like surface level stuff. And like even when I was really young, like I remember like my aunties like telling me like go sit at the kids' table and me being like,
excuse me.
no, like I want to sit with you guys. And my mom, which, you know, is like such a big part of why I have been able to explore and create and whatever, is that my mom always like, she's not like she is super intuitive, but she's not like in this world much, right? But she never discouraged me. Like she never made it seem like she didn't believe what I was saying, or like what a wild imagination you have, or like she never like blew me off like that, you know. And she protected me like in the way that, like, when my auntie said go sit at the kids table, my mom said she can sit right here. She can sit here and talk to us, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like, you know, she's told me a lot as an adult, like I just never believed in that. Like I never believed in like putting you off with the kids, like you couldn't be a person, like you were already a person. And so I always wanted you to feel like you could talk to anybody, you know. And what a gift, because my God, can I talk to anybody?
But at such a young age, like that instills the confidence of like, no, I can hold space here with you guys.
Right. Yeah. Like I'm not too little. I'm not insignificant. Right. Like, yeah, it was such a gift. And yeah, and she trusted me and she encouraged me to, like, you know, she always told me like, don't let anybody tell you like what's right for you. Like, you know what's right for you. Which became an issue when I was a teenager, and she was on the list of people who couldn't tell me what was right for me.
Of course.
Love you, Mom. Shout out to my mom. But now, you know, like it's cool because she actually, like, she comes to ceremony and she comes to like events that I host, and we talk about this deeper like intuitive stuff, and she's with it, you know. There was a period of time where she's like, what are you doing? Like, you're so far out in left field. Like, I remember her saying like exactly that, like, you're way out in left field. I don't understand anything you're doing, you know. But the longer it's gone on and the more she's witnessed like how I feel and how I respond, and how it is when it used to be like somebody says something in my family and I'm reactive, and, you know, and I'm just not like that anymore, you know. And I think as she's seen it shift things in me, she's gotten more curious. Yes. Right? Like, I might want to feel how you feel. Like, I might want to feel how I witness you feeling, you know?
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ever since you were a little kid, it's funny because I'll tell you in a minute, but it's the emotion, like the feeling behind, and like picking up on the energy of other people and feeling their stuff.
Yeah. And I was also always a very like, you know, it's like, I don't know if I was realizing it then, but when I look back now, like I was such a caretaker. Do you know what I mean? And I wasn't in that position. Like, I had parents who parented me. I wasn't like, I had to be the parent as like a caretaker. I didn't have to take care. I didn't have to raise my little sister. Like, it wasn't like, you know, like a necessity that I became a caretaker. But I just like was like, I knew when somebody didn't feel good and I would love on them extra, you know. I could tell when the little kids like needed somebody to just be with them. Like, I was a little mama creature. I was always taking care of the pet, the animals and the little kids, and giving the adults a snuggle when I could tell that they needed something, you know. And yeah, I mean, it really has. I've always been just this little intuitive being.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
So much. So, like, okay. So I remember one time you telling me about an experience that you had where your mom brought you to a tarot reader.
I was just going to talk about that. It's so funny. Like, I knew that that's where we were going somehow too. Yeah, I was about 14 or maybe 15, but I think I was 14. And I still have not asked my mom. I don't know why. I told you last time I was going to ask her why she did that, but I don't remember. But for some reason, she took me to a tarot reader, and her name was Mandy. And like, again, like, my mom wasn't she wasn't really like into like she didn't go get tarot readings. Like, she, you know what I mean? It was a very strange, it's like very strange in my memory. Like, why did that happen? Like, where where did that come from? But anyway, so she took me to this woman's house and like basically was like, I'm dropping you off with this woman, and left. Like she dropped me off to this absolute witch, you know what I'm saying? And by that I mean like even visually, like she looked like what you see in cartoons. Like she had like one wild eye. I mean, it was like, you know, just like this old wild woman. She was so amazing. Mandy was such an amazing woman. But wow, I just like felt her come in. That was so weird. Just like felt her come into the room. Hi, Mandy.
Hi, girl.
Yeah, and so I sat down with her, and she was just kind of immediately like, you know, you're an intuitive, right? And I'm like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like at this point, I have no language. Like at this point, I've never met anybody who has any language for what I'm experiencing or what I'm picking up or anything. So during that session or during that reading, I mean, I don't remember all the things she told me, but what I'll never forget is her like giving me a lot of language around intuition, clairvoyance, like all the clairs, right? Like she gave me like that rundown. She gave me like, you know, just like a confirmation that like what I was experiencing was real and that I wasn't the only person on the planet who felt the things that I felt. And that we all have these gifts. I mean, she, you know, that's what she gave me is like, yeah, we all are this really, if we allow ourselves to be tapped into it. And she's like, and you just obviously never stepped away from it, right? Like we're born with it. We're born with these gifts.
Right.
And apparently I never unlearned it. So, right. So I stayed there and so that was the real beginning of me seeking like sharpening my intuitive gifts, seeking like more information about different modalities and different ancient practices and teachings and history and all these things, doing a lot of research. And then when I was 16, I went to this store in Genesee Valley Mall. Do you remember Blue Moon? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that place? Mm-hmm. Yes. All which is in Genesee County area. No, Blue Moon. Okay. We all know about it. No, it's been closed a long time. There's like nothing in the mall anymore. But it was like a little, I don't know, witchy supply store. Like I don't even remember really. It's like they had incense and crystals and whatever, but there was a guy who did readings in the back. Like he would be in the back sometimes. And I was 16 hanging out at the mall, you know, like we did. And I had like $20 on me is like all I had. And it was like a reading was $20. And I was like, all right. So I got a reading from this guy. His name was Chris. And it was like an insane reading. You know what I mean? I was like, how could someone possibly know these things? I mean, it was like crazy. Like he told me stuff about, like I was planning at the time to move to France the following year. Like he knew that. Like he brought up specifically moving to France. Like it was very wild. It was very wild. And that was just like another like, oh my God, like this shit is real. This shit is real. Like there's no way that someone could know that. He doesn't know me. Like, you know? But it turns out actually like we did know each other in a way, which is just like another like, you know, it's just like it was another confirmation that like spirit is real, that like energy is real, God, whatever is real. Because we start talking and he mentioned his stepdaughter, Jade. And I was like, Jade Robarge? I mean, it was like, I'm like, really? Jade? And he's like, you know her? I'm like, we've been friends since we were like 11 years old. Oh my goodness. And so he had married her mom. What? And you know what I mean? And it was super, like, I was like, wow, that's so weird. And so we connected. They owned a little metaphysical shop in Burton, I think. And so after that, and knowing that he was Jade's stepdad, then it was like I reconnected with Jade, and I was at the shop all the time, and I was around all these different people, like angel readers and whatever, Reiki healer. That's where I got certified in Reiki. And they had like psychic fairs all the time and stuff. So it was like I was always meeting all these different people. But I knew something then during that period of time, like I knew that I was like special. Like that's when I found out that I was like special. Like that I'm a little more rooted in it or something than some people, or that it's like more authentic for me or something. I don't even know how right to describe it, but I could feel this like I'm not like them though. Like they're doing this work and I'm doing this work, but I'm not like them. Like there was something off, you know, and like there was maybe a year that I was spending time with them and then I stopped because it was like I don't know if they were really doing things from a good intention. I don't know if they were being like very like responsible with like their gifts or with other people's like vulnerable state. Like I don't know. I got pulled into a lot of healing sessions before I knew anything to be like the person to keep everybody grounded. Yeah. So it was like I was just, I don't know, you know, like it felt very like I was getting used in these ways and I didn't have like the tools. I didn't have like the tools yet, like to know how to clear myself, to know how to not be carrying all the shit that I was like.
Yeah, and that's really important. As you were just talking there, I like had this picture of you like walking around the grounds of these people were like having a sacred ceremony. You're like, keeping it safe.
Yeah, you know? Like they were having me hold the space for everybody. And I was young and not knowing how much that could affect me. Like how, you know, so, but I didn't know, like I didn't know, right? I didn't know any ethics about it. I didn't know any like energetic hygiene practices. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know any of that. And so, but eventually it was like, I could feel myself getting like I was like drained and I was like tired and I was like, why do I feel like this? You know what I mean? But there was like there was one woman and I can't remember her name, but she kind of told me like what they're doing isn't right, you know? Mm-hmm. And I was like, what do you mean? Yeah. You know? And she's like, they shouldn't be pulling you into sessions like that. Like, you don't know yet how to protect yourself. You shouldn't be getting pulled into these sessions. It's not cool. Like, and I was like, oh, it's not cool. Like, shit. Because it was like for a year I had been being pulled into these sessions and they were very heavy. They were very heavy sessions. They were a group of very heavy people energetically, you know?
It's amazing. Like there's the people in your life that pull you into these things to like help teach you, right?
Yeah.
But then you have this other background person.
Right.
Like, well, we're going to pull you a little bit back.
Yeah, like, no. Yeah, I mean, I think that lady was just like absolutely, you know, God, you know, coming through her to be like, get out of here.
Right.
Get out of here, you know, before it's weird. I mean, because they were working with like demon possession. Like, I mean, like they weren't working with demon possession, but people were coming to them feeling like they were possessed or feeling like, you know what I mean? Like, so they were like clearing stuff like that. And it was me that was clearing it. It was me, you know.
We're just going to use this vessel.
Yeah. They're like, we're just going to put you in here. And yeah, so that was like, but it was cool. I learned a ton. And I learned a lot about, you know, how I wanted to feel to people. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I learned a lot about how, just like the energy I wanted to hold in these spaces. Like I didn't want to feel how these people I was around felt to be around. Like I didn't want to feel heavy. I didn't want to feel like what are you doing? Like I don't know, you know, like they just came from such a weird place. Like now that I'm looking back at it, I'm like, what were they doing? Like what was I in? I don't know, you know. But so it definitely like spurred me to, it was like cool. Like I learned all these things. Like I've seen some amazing things happen. Like I've seen some amazing healings that like somebody came in really not okay. And I literally watched like their body change, like how they were holding their body. And I watched like their face change. Like they looked more beautiful at the end of a session. And, you know, like I could see that this stuff was real. Like it's real. Like just another confirmation, like this is real. Right. But also like, these are not the people I should be learning from anymore. You know, like that was cool. I'm out. Like that was cool. Need to go somewhere else. And for a long time after that, like I did move to France and I didn't have like another like teacher like for quite a while. But I just started like just practicing it like in my life, like seeing how just how I could, I don't want to use the word manipulate, but like how I could like manipulate energy,
Yes.
like, you know, and manipulate my own energy, like how I could change how I felt without anything. Just like I can just like tap into something. And I did a lot of like exploring. I did a lot of going to like very old places. Like there's so much old magical weirdness in Paris. Like I went down in the catacombs and like, you know what I mean? And had crazy, like, and just had such wild energetic experiences. Like, where I could feel, I walked through Versailles. Versailles was like the whole time I was walking through there, I was like, oh, like it's so bad in here. Like, I mean, it's like just.
What is Versailles? I don't know.
Versailles is the very famous palace that Napoleon lived in. Yes. And Marie Antoinette lived on the property. She didn't live in the castle. She lived in her own house.
Yes.
Because she wasn't trying to deal with Napoleon.
Right.
She's like, I will live a mile away from you on this property. Do not come to my house. But no, but I mean, it was like, there was a lot of weird, not great. He was a mean guy. There was a lot of bad stuff. There was a lot of servants. There was a lot of rape. Like, I mean, it was like a long time ago. So
yeah.
It was just heavy in there. Like, it was so heavy in there. Like, I just kept getting goosebumps, but it wasn't like nice goosebumps. It was like, ugh, like, and people are just walking through here. I mean, I just remember feeling like, God, people are just like walking through here. And it's been like, I could feel like how much trauma had just happened in all these spaces. And I was like, I felt like that in a lot of the places in Paris, like the catacombs. Like, it felt just so inappropriate that people were there, like as tourists.
Yeah.
Like, it felt so inappropriate, you know, like I felt okay. I felt like I was okay in the catacombs because I was like reverent.
Sacred.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I was like reverent of all of these beings that were buried 50 meters under the ground. You know, I was like reverent of it, but everybody's just like walking through like it's Disney World. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like no big deal. And it's like, you are surrounded by death right now. You are literally surrounded by death and the Black Plague. I mean, that's why they say, I have some intuition that like, that's not fully, you know, what, I don't think it's fully what it was about. There was like some other darker magic going on during that time. It's really weird down there. It's very weird down there. There's like prison cells down there. There's like carvings down there that took people years. So like they were trapped down there for years, making like intricate carvings of like whole buildings and whole like out of just like the rock of like, wow. It's like, it is sketchy down there. But what surprised me the most was that there is all the bones are stacked and stuff like symbolically. It's not like, to me, okay, it's the Black Plague. We have to take up these bodies because it's getting in the groundwater and put them underground. Right. In what world does that task require all the femurs being together? All the skulls being together? There's not one body that all the bones are together. There's not like, there's not like one body down there that is like, here's all the bones of this body. It's like it's like all femurs, but then there's skulls put in like an archway. Oh. With a cross above it. What? In skulls. I can show you some pictures sometime. Because we got like special, and that's what I'm saying. It's like when you're reverent, like when you're connected, like things open up for you differently, right? Like we waited forever in line to get into the catacombs. We were one of the last groups that was going to get to go. Someone got murdered right outside of the entrance of the catacombs. Like, so apparently this dead person was there the whole time we were in line, but all of a sudden the cop showed up and like curtained it off and like pulled this, like, what the hell? It was like super weird. But anyway, so that's like, I don't even know why I told that part, but but it was like such an intense, I was like, whoa, like why? Yeah, it was so weird. But it was a homeless person, and that's like a lot, that happens a lot in Paris, that like a homeless person kills another homeless person because they want their like spot or their things or their, yeah. but so we finally got in, and it was literally just me and the two other people that were with me were the only ones.
Oh, wow.
That were like the last group. And the guy who was leading us through like allowed me to take photos, which you're not allowed to because it like decays, like any flash or anything like makes things decay faster.
Right.
And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you get the pass, go ahead. I'm like, okay, VIP access, it's fine. But yeah, like it was so just interesting to feel it down there and to feel like that was another like big awakening of like, what are all these symbols? It was like, what are these symbols? What were they really doing? If the goal was to get these bodies out of the ground and somewhere as fast as possible, why did they do it like this?
Right.
Because this was not the fastest possible way. Like, this was not the fastest possible way. This was
decorate with all these and legs and, you know, like human remains.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the part of the catacombs that they like allow the public access to. And there's a lot of catacombs that are underneath Paris that you can't get to publicly, that are like secret. You have to know some weird way to get into. And I'm curious, right? Like, I'm so curious if like the not open to the public spaces are the same, or if they've like redone it, or if like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird.
Reminds me of some satanic ritual or something with body parts.
It's very weird. Like, it's very weird in there. So that was like a big thing for me. Like, Versailles was a big thing for me, like feeling how, and it's like Versailles was so like, it's so beautiful. It's like insanely beautiful. It's like everything is gold crown molding and chandeliers more beautiful than anything you've ever seen, made of crystal and velvet embossed wallpaper, and it feels horrible in there.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? It's like beautiful. And everyone's like, oh my God, how beautiful. And I'm like, ugh, like, let's get out of here.
Right.
Like, let's walk this loop fast, please. Like, I want to just go outside.
Oh my goodness.
And then the catacombs were the same thing. It was like, I don't know why people go down here. I don't know why this is a thing. Like, I don't know why this is a thing that people are allowed to just walk through this. Like, it's not people's bodies.
Right.
You know, so, and yeah, and seeing all the symbology started making me like, I started looking into more of that. Like, what are all these symbols? Like, what are like all these different ancient symbols? That led me to a lot of ancient Egyptian things. My life has been so crazy. I'm like, wow, like we went from Mandy to Paris. But yeah, I mean, I lived in Paris for a couple years and got really connected to nature, got really connected to food. Like, it really changed like how I cared for my body and how I viewed family and how I viewed alcohol, like how I viewed, like all these things like shifted so much. I was so young. I moved there when I was 17, you know, and so it was like very a foundational time. Yeah. But it was beautiful because France taught me to slow down. France taught me to be present, you know, and what an important thing to know as an intuitive person, you know, like and it's like, and it was mostly about food or whatever, but it's like, but it taught me in all the things to be present, to be slow, to be intentional in what I'm putting in my body, and on my body, and who I'm spending time with, and what the conversation is like, and is it like, is there any realness, like is there any authenticity? Like, French people are so open and real, and like even with their families, like they have real conversation at the dinner table, where like the kids aren't even afraid to, like the kids are not afraid to like tell their parents about like somebody they slept with or somebody they, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very open. There's nothing weird about our human experiences. And like French people taught me that, like that all this stuff that we make so taboo is not really that, like, it's not really that big of a deal. And that one of the more important things in life is to just slow down and enjoy it all.
I love that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so after I lived in France for a while, I came back, and me and the guy that I was engaged to in France split up. He was supposed to move back here, but he couldn't get a visa. And so we broke up with like nothing wrong between us. You know what I mean? It was like this huge heartbreak. Like we had a perfect, but we had like a very healthy, like very kind relationship to each other. And I was 19. It crushed me. You know what I mean? And for a while I like rejected, like I like wasn't in touch with my intuition at all. I wasn't like, I was like I went and was like working in bars, and like that was like where I was at, you know what I mean? And interestingly enough, like, you know, even when I was working at bars, I was having experiences where I was like holding space, you know, holding space for people. And yeah, like it was like I couldn't avoid it completely, but I certainly wasn't focused on being like the healthiest me or like the most present me. Right. I was trying to escape my pain a little bit. And yeah, my dad called me. My dad called me one day when I was on the way to work at a bar, and was just like, "How you doing, babe?" And my dad wasn't a very like conversational guy, but he certainly understood heartbreak. And so I think that he knew that I needed somebody to be like, "Are you okay?" And it was weird. Like, it was really weird. It was like the first time that my dad had like asked how I was. It felt like, you know, like we had talked, like we had a relationship, but he was never like a, "How are you feeling? Tell me about all your feelings." Like, he was not like really that, you know what I mean? Even though he was good and gentle. And so I remember feeling like, who is this person? Are you asking me about my feelings? But I was driving and he asked me like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm a wreck." Like, I'm not okay at all. And he said to me, "I know right now you feel like a grain of sand in the bottom of the ocean, but someday you will wash up to the shore again." And again, like, my dad was like a very simple, like very construction working, like owned a construction company, you know what I mean? For him to say this very deep, very wise, like, you know, mindful thing was like, who are you? And like, why weren't you talking to me like that my entire life? You waited until now? Like, okay. But it snapped me right out of, you know, just being on bullshit. I mean, just like it snapped me right out of that. Like, oh, you're right. Like, I can return to myself. Like, I can return to myself. And so I worked that night at the bar, but then I never went back. And I was working in Detroit, so it was like I was already almost there to Detroit when he called me. Like, I'm not just like driving home. Like, I'm gonna work. But after that, I went back to nannying and being with kids. Like 70 hours, like I was like full-time nanny, like 70 hours a week. You know what I mean? They were my kids. Like, their parents knew less about them than I did, you know? They were asleep. Like, they were asleep when I wasn't there. And that just like being with the kids, like, always will tap you right back into the magic, you know? And so, yeah, like my dad saved me, and then the kids like continued saving me, you know, and reminding me that to look at all the magic in the world, you know, like to witness kids be like, "Wow, a flower, wow," you know, like that wonder.
And going back to that slowing down.
Yeah, and you have to, like, you know, and with toddlers, like, you can't, like, you have to be with them or something bad is going to happen. Like, you cannot be distracted or like something, you know, you have to be really present with them, and you have to be really present with them too, because they can't fully communicate yet when they're really little. And so it tapped me back into to presence, and to also my intuition, where I was like feeling into what they needed, you know, because I nannied a lot of very little kids. Like, they were little, like 4 months old to a year and a half old. And so they weren't fully communicating. And yeah, that was a big change. It was like a big change to like remember my own childhood, to like remember my own inner child, and like that I love to play, and that I love to create, and that I love to be present. Like it feels so good to me. And I had forgotten for a while, I had this adult experience of heartbreak, and I had forgotten. Yeah, I had disconnected from that part of me. Like, ugh, like innocent, open, loving me is like, no, we're not doing that again.
I don't want to get hurt again.
I don't want to get hurt again. No. Yeah, but so that opened my heart back up, and not long after that, I started doing some more things. I got into theta healing and got certified in that, and started doing some more traveling and sitting with like indigenous Native American people here, sitting with indigenous Mayan and Aztec people in Mexico. And actually my theta teacher was from France. She was located here in the US, but that felt like it felt like oh, she's the right one. Like, this is right. It was just funny that it connected me back to France, right? Like I was like healing from like the heartbreak I experienced in France. And then when I finally like opened up to like having another teacher or like learning something deeper, like the only person that came through was this French woman. And I was like, naturally. Okay, so trigger me and help me at once. Let's do this, Yeah, and I've just never stopped since then. Like I'm always open to learning. I'm always open to being present enough to listen, and to whoever, because so everybody has wisdom. Everybody has wisdom to share. Everybody has magic to share. And now it's my whole life, you know what I mean? Now there's nothing else. Now there's nothing else in my life but magic and presence and healing and yeah.
You created that space in order to do that, and you help a lot of people in general, but you also help a lot of women.
Yeah, I've worked with mostly women for the entire time, and that's also because there's a lot of my story, right, that I'm not addressing right now, but the short version of that part of my journey is that I was sexually assaulted, I had an abortion, I had a miscarriage. I went through all these. I was in a very abusive relationship for 3.5 years. And so I experienced all these things, which now I consider all those things to be like such a gift. Like that was such a gift that I went through those horrible things, because I became the woman that could genuinely sit and go, I get that. Mm-hmm. I get that. I get why you're not leaving the dude that's beating you up. I get why you, right? I get it. Because I've been there, not because I'm just saying like, yeah, I understand. Like, no, like I do understand. I do, because I experienced it. And so it felt like, obviously when I was going through it, it didn't feel like much of a gift, but it was like very shortly after I left the relationship that I was like, I know why all that happened. It was like, it was like he was out of my house and I was like, oh, what a gift. Like I needed to know all that. And also during that time I had another awakening of like creativity. That's when I started sharing my writing as music and started performing solo all over, like just like that. It was like such a weird, a weird time where like there was such a balance. There always is such a contrast, right? Like I was like literally getting beat up and I was also like performing my music that was like pure love in front of thousands of people at the same time. I was like, that's what my life was, and when I look back at that too, like another gift is like, wow, look how fucking resilient I am.
Yeah.
Like, look at that. Like,
I am powerful.
Like, yeah. Like I never stopped creating and sharing like love and healing with people throughout that whole time. Like I never stopped. I never shut down. I never stopped creating, you know what I mean? Even though I was having a hard time, like, of course, but it just didn't stop me. It just was like, I still have good things to write. I still have good things to say. Like, I still want people to not feel how I feel.
Right.
You know, and yeah. And by the end of that, I also like really, I mean, I left him, you know what I mean, in the end. Like I chose myself.
Right.
Like I honored myself. And that was another awakening, right? To be like, oh my God, like I have the power to like change my situation. Wow, right? Like,
Wow, yeah.
wow, look at that. I can just change what is happening. And yeah, I started holding space. I mean, I spent a couple years like not holding space for anybody. And then I just started feeling like, man, I gotta share like what I've been doing. Like I need to share like what I did to get from this place of like like, you know what I mean? Like I've been repressing all this stuff and like shutting all these things down for like years because of this relationship I've been in. Like I got beat up the most when I cried, right?
Yeah.
So I repressed a lot of my grief. I repressed a lot of my sadness, right? So like I had to like go into that and feel that and express that and like move through it and like figure out how to get my nervous system to not literally cause my entire body to shake when somebody got loud like, you know, I mean, it was like
freaking huge, and it's not a simple task.
No, like I had really bad PTSD. I mean, I was a wreck, you know. Even though most people weren't seeing that from me, but I was, and I was disconnected from my family. Like you know what I mean? I was disconnected from my family. I was disconnected from my friends. Like I didn't really have anybody. Like my whole life had become about this person who didn't even care about me. You know what I mean? It was not good because everybody was telling me, right? Like everybody in my life was like, get away from this dude. Hello. And I was like, hey man, but I love him. And so everybody had to like distance themselves from me because it was hurting them to like witness what was happening to me. And so eventually it was like I just had so much gratitude for like myself that I could like that I did it. I put in the work. Like I put in the work. I spent a ton of time by myself, with myself, not dating anybody else, not having sex with anybody else, not, you know what I mean? Not making any of those like energetic like attachments.
Yeah.
And I was just working and painting and singing and just returning to myself over and over again, just returning to myself. And finally I started being like, yeah, it's time to share this. I don't know what else I want to do. I don't know if there's anything else that I want to do besides like show other women that like you can go from this to this.
It's huge.
But it's huge. And I think that's like, I genuinely think that like that's what everybody's story can be, is not specifically what I went through, but that the things that you go through that seem like the worst thing that could have ever happened to you. And it's hard to view it this way at certain points of it, right? But is our greatest gifts, is our greatest gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Our deepest wounds are our greatest gifts. If we can walk ourselves through healing those wounds, because then we have a wisdom that is so deep and so authentic. It's so real. It's not what I learned in Theta Healing. It's not what I learned in Reiki class. It's what I walked.
Right.
It's what I walked. That's why I know it works, because I did it for myself. And anybody can do that. Like anybody can do that. Can go from feeling fucked. It can be so bad. It can be literally the worst. You can be in the worst state and you can walk yourself. You can heal yourself. Like it's so possible. And now, I mean, I've witnessed countless, you know, people who think they can't, you know, who think it's not possible, who think it's not possible for them to feel again, who think it's not possible for them to love again, who think it's not possible to feel confident in their bodies, who think it's just not possible for them. Like it works for other people, but it's not for them. And then it does work for them. It does. Like, you know, I've heard stories of people coming in that are like so horrifying. You don't want to hear the story. It's like makes you sick. And I'm sure you have too. I'm sure you have also heard stories that like, even when you're prepared to hold space, you're like,
wasn't expecting that.
Like that's really hard to stomach, right? And I've seen those people too, like release the heaviness of that and still go on to like create and share and love again and be open again and a lot of those people I've seen go from like whatever their trauma was to holding space for people who have had that same trauma.
Yeah.
And
the chain of healing that is like occurring now with everybody waking the hell up.
Yeah. And I always think like the most potent healers, you know, are the ones who, we can have all these certifications and whatever, you know, but are the ones who have like walked their own healing path and cultivated, back to what I was saying in the beginning, cultivated that deep trust of themselves, that they can trust, that they know what to do next. And that's it. Like, that's what I remind myself all the time. It's not like I can trust my plan or I trust that I'll be disciplined enough to follow the steps to get to my goal. Like, I don't operate like that at all. I'm very like, I always know what to do next. And so I don't have to worry. Like, I don't have to worry about 2 hours from now or 2 weeks from now or whatever, because I'll know what to do next. And like developing that kind of trust, I think, is like one of the most like important things in the awakening journey, in the journey of becoming a healer, or maybe not becoming a healer, but just tapping into more of your intuitive gifts. I think like the most important thing is, do you trust yourself?
Absolutely. But it's like the trust and the confidence.
Yeah.
It's the same. Same freaking thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, you can't be, I mean, you can be falsely confident without the trust, right?
Right.
But yeah, the confidence comes when you trust yourself.
That's amazing.
And it's like, you have to really trust yourself. You have to like deeply trust yourself. I mean, like, I've had some sessions recently that like I'm getting guidance to do something. And even after like all these years of being in practice, I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's been some things that I've gotten guided that like feel a little like out of my ethics, or like out of like, right? Like, I'm like, just like a little like, like, really? That's like what? And having to go, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing. I mean, it's like, that's the guidance I'm getting. And I trust myself. I trust that what I'm receiving is what I need to do. So here we go. And then afterwards, I talk to these people who I like have done something that I've never done in a session, or said something that I've never said in a session, or something. And afterwards they're like, that was exactly it. You know what I mean? Like, that was exactly what had to happen. Like, when you placed your hand there, that's when like the energy shot through my body. Like, that's exactly what it was. Right. And it's like, it's that trust that goes like so deep that it's like, even when your logical brain goes, girl, what?
Right.
And you go, yeah, but I trust myself. Like, yeah, but I trust my intuition. So like, logic brain can, you go away for a second.
Exactly.
I got to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, recently I sang the song, You Are My Sunshine to someone in a session. Right?
Beautiful.
Right? Yeah, beautiful. But it's like, that's not something I would ever bring in myself. Right. But it's like, I was hearing it and I was like I literally was like, okay. And then I kind of like just like ignored it. I kind of like brushed it off and like kept doing what I was doing. And then it got louder and I was like, okay. So I sang it. So I just started singing it. And the woman who was having a session had a huge emotional release. It was huge. Like, it was huge, like shaking, convulsing, crying, the whole thing, you know. And afterwards she was like, how did you know to sing that song? And I was like, someone was singing it in my ear loudly. And she said that was the only song my mom ever sang to us. you know, and the whole session was about her healing a lot of stuff with her mom. And so it was like, you know, and it's just moments like that you're like, no, but you have to like push through that like logical no into the trusting yourself, into the trusting your intuition, into confidently going, I know what to do next because this is the guidance I got. So I know it's what I have to do.
God, I love you.
I love you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is so incredibly amazing and so true. Can you tell everybody how?
No.
No. Can you tell everybody how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah. I'm Hunter O'Connor on Facebook. Or you can look up Hive Holistic Center on anywhere, or hiveholisticcenter.com is our website where we have all of our information. You can contact me, you can book a call, you can buy a ticket to one of our events. Yeah.
Awesome. Any last words that you'd like to spread with your knowledge? Plant little seeds.
I'll share with you what my son says are the 3 most important things in life. Love yourself, trust yourself, do what makes you happy.
Sage words of wisdom.
Sage words of wisdom.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, my friends, for sharing your time, space, and attention. If you like what you heard, please feel free to share with your friends, like, subscribe, comment, and leave a review. As always, I offer Akashic readings, tarot readings, energy readings, Reiki sessions, and QHHT sessions. If you're interested in booking a session with me, either online or in person, please feel free to visit my website, lemonsageandlavender.com. The energy exchange of your time and attention mean the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, I root myself in wonder. I open myself to bloom. I trust the journey of thought. Now get out there and blossom, my friends.